So listen, take care of your appearance.
Be the last person to speak.
Speak succinctly.
Remember the words that makes you powerful.
Control body language.
Stillness speaks.
Powerful vocabulary.
Words which are not cliche.
Powerful voice.
Assertive communication has no substitute.
Accumulation of different skills.
Build credibility, build character.
That's enough.
There are people who have influence and there are people who have authority. Now, don't mix them together because those two are going to be the two sides of the spectrum. Yeah, sometimes they do meet. That's when the history is created.
Right.
I have one right now in front of me. Influence plus authority. How to build that? I mean, okay, got it. Not everybody can have the authority. Not everybody can become CEO. Not everybody can replace Tim Cook now from Apple.
Right.
Right? But how to influence, however? What do you say? How do you do that?
How do I do that?
What's your recipe?
The recipe is conviction, confidence, credibility.
Should we wrap up the video then? Because you have just
Yeah,
answered.
let's wrap up. Let's go home. Let's go home.
No, on a serious note, if somebody wants to be the CEO one day, one
Right.
has to look like a CEO,
How
speak
does
like
one
a
look like
CEO,
CEO, by the way?
speak like CEO and influence like CEO before they become CEO, right? Which is what
100%.
I think we're trying to answer here. And I think this is the problem of this century.
Right.
This is the problem of the not just millennials, but the problem of the Generation Z as well.
Right.
Especially Generation Z, as they want to just influence, not work.
Not just, I think not just Gen Z, since we train so many entrepreneurs, right? They are entrepreneurs, they are making money, but still they think that somehow their people skills, the way they want to influence, doesn't happen that way because they forget that you have to influence first, only then people listen to you, right?
So we still judge the book by its cover, as you keep
Everybody
saying
does.
that.
Everybody does.
But what to do if your book is looking good, your designer was good? What can I do about it? I cannot replace the designer who created me.
No, but I gave a brain to my designer, right? That's what I want.
So okay, I think we're gonna get into
Not my designer.
Yeah. Your designer, the creator who created you. I mean that though.
Almighty.
I know there are other people involved into it. So, yeah, moving on.
Couple of guys.
Yeah. So moving on to this point that, in fact, very interesting story I have here to tell you. That do you remember that one of my friends who had just opened his, this store, eyewear store.
Oh yes.
He told me once, and I couldn't hold my laughter, though it came as insensitive to him. He said that when I opened, I wore good clothes and I stood at the reception, and somebody like who knew me by phone, obviously over the phone, we had talked already. So he
Right.
came and he looked at me and he said, hello, how are you? Jao, sir ko bula ke leke aao. and I laughed exactly the way you're laughing right now, a little louder. And he got offended. He was like, what the hell? I was like, remember, it's not me laughing. It's anybody who will hear this story will laugh because
Right.
people do judge the book by its cover.
Right.
So why don't you tell us how to paint that book so artistically that sometimes before even we speak, we influence people? How do we do that?
I think we can combine 5 things here. First of all, we have to have that conviction in the personality, right? Then we have to take care of our appearance. We have to look good. We have to dress up nicely. Third, what you are communicating. Fourth, body language. Fifth, your signature style. Apart from appearance, your signature style. Like, I've heard since you talk about Shah Rukh Khan a lot, and I was, watching the interviews of some of the actresses, and they were saying, there is something good about him. And what's that apart from his communication? A subtle scent. Then I was curious, like, what sort of fragrance he's using. I got to know Dunhill. Right, he has been using Dunhill for a long, long time. So that's his signature, one of the signature statements. Then since I was using certain fragrances, so I used Tom Ford. Right, so I'm not asking people to use Tom Ford. It depends like how much they're willing to spend. But
Right.
what I'm trying to say, that one has to have some sort of signature statement apart from rest of the things.
Like most CEOs have cologne, right?
They
have
have.
their own signature cologne. Like Indra Nui once was talking on the stage that, first I didn't know how to wear them, and then I wanted to, show the position that I was holding. So
Right.
first I went for shopping and bought some cologne. And then everybody was like, okay, we may want to buy that first before we become CEO.
Right.
Right? So one has to have something about their personality which
Something.
speaks volume.
Right.
Okay, so Shah Rukh Khan's Denver ad is just for Dhanti ka Dant dikhane wala.
Yes, and then when you see Leonardo da Vinci, right, he had that particular attire always. Napoleon Bonaparte, that specialized hat. Wherever he was going, he was wearing that hat only. Then Mahatma Gandhi, particular attire.
Yes.
Right. Steve Jobs, turtleneck, blue denim, sport shoes.
So it talked about personality, who they are.
Exactly. And they were simply trying to send a message like, this is my signature style. This is what I think. So I think that one has to have that.
Oh, I see. So that's the very first part of if you want to influence the people without authority. As I just said, not everybody can become CEO or manager, but everybody can influence.
Everybody can influence, right?
So mark this word. Remember, before you step out of your house, you know what personality you're going to showcase without uttering a word.
Exactly. Then maybe some sort of signature accessory, maybe a good watch. Right. Maybe power colors. Like black, navy blue, gray, right? So simply if people Google it, what is the power color psychology, they'll get to know what I'm saying, right? And then I like in one of the sessions, like we are training this guy in USA, right? So in the last session, I was telling him that, do one thing, stop saying thank you and stop complimenting people directly, indirect compliment.
Right.
And instead of thank you, just tell them that how their work contributed.
Oh.
They'll feel better.
Of course. Because
And the third, that surprise act of kindness. We all love kindness. But if that's a surprise for us, people say, wow, man, this person is really interesting.
so it shows authenticity of an individual.
Authenticity, yes.
And there is nothing great when it
Right.
comes to influence when there is a good balance of kindness and authority. And I think I have seen these two traits in great balance in most of those people so far that I met who didn't have authority, but they had greater influence.
Right.
And I wouldn't go for some Mahan people looking for. I'll begin with my grandmother actually. My grandmother, in half a village, she had influence. Like people would say, oh, don't let her get to know. Otherwise, she's going to really, scare you. She's going to scold you. I always thought, what was that one ounce that allowed her to really have influence, such authority over people?
Right.
But because she was not Mukhiya of the village, right? So I noticed that she had a very good balance of warmth and competence. Okay, so I noticed that she was capable of doing everything what in that time women would need to excel in, whether
What was
it was culinary art or it was the art what people used to do in clothes and sewing things or weaving or any kind of those competence what a noble eligible women needed back then. She was really competent at that. But
Nice.
not just that, she had warmth as well. Like
Right.
she would let people see that through with her remarkable communication.
Remarkable communication.
Yes. And mind you, she was not a graduate or postgraduate. She was, in fact, not educated in school. She was self-educated human. Right? So her warmth, what I mean by saying that is the communication ability. She had three things: the ability to convey what she wanted to, quality in the talk. It was a quality talk. And the third and the most important, the character that she spoke volume with. Right? She had great assertion in her word, right? Which is what I think in most of the time lately that I notice people lack. They are such a passive communicator a lot of times that
Right.
they, even if they want to be promoted to the position of leadership, they don't assert that.
Wow, that's nice. As they say, your character builds your destiny.
Yes.
And your grandmother, she was master at it.
She was a woman of her character.
And here most of the people think that, let me debunk this myth that your character means something else. Oh, you're smoking. Oh my God, you've got loose character. Oh, how come you drank a couple of packs? That's not true. That's not true.
Then
People
Albert
should be
Einstein
asking.
didn't have good character.
No, not at
He was
all.
like, oh, well, I thinking and minding.
In fact, Shah Rukh Khan smokes.
yeah.
So, so what do you mean by true character?
It means person of his or her words. Person announces less and does more.
Right.
If you want to influence without authority, you need to remember the dialogue of Mukesh Ambani, as you keep telling. What was the dialogue?
I don't believe in announcements. I believe in execution, results.
Exactly. That's what I meant. People who say that, oh, I'll show you what I'm going to do to you. Usually, the response from the other side is, I'll see that. Go. But the true people, like the
Right.
people of character,
Right.
wouldn't tell it, show it.
Right. Like in today's morning session, I was training this businessman. So he was telling me that I've been trying to persuade my kids for a long time. Do this, do that, ta. I said, no, that's not a good idea. Don't tell them, show them.
Yeah. So that builds your credibility, right?
Exactly.
And a lot of times you don't need to tell people who I am. They know you. Why? Because of the credibility that you have built over the period of time.
Right.
And it is effective, in fact, in a small meeting room.
100%.
So if your colleague know you, that this person is a person of commitment, and if you say, I have some objection in here, even if they're not gonna, use that or take it as a, final decision, but they would say, okay, we'll hear you. That's called credibility.
Yeah.
That's
even
called
in
influence.
even in the John Wick movie, they say John Wick is a man of sheer commitment.
See, commitment.
But people ask like, what to say? What sort of words are to be used? What to do about it?
Throw out all the words which are cliche,
Right?
right? Like, I am a leader. Leaders never say I'm a leader. They say I'm one of you.
Right.
They never say I'm a prophet. No prophet said I'm a prophet.
Even
Yeah.
even these spiritual gurus, they call themselves the messenger.
Yeah,
They don't call
other people call them messengers. They
Right.
would say I'm one of you.
I'm one of you. Then not the messenger of the God. Like I don't know. I haven't watched this movie. Maybe you guys can
Well,
try
you keep
watching
talking
it.
about it. I have a great.
Yeah, that movie is in my watch list, but this is going to be in my watch list forever. I'm not going to watch it. But we are talking about here relatability, right? So somehow people find it relatable if they understand. He's among us.
That reminds me of one of the stories that I read about Mahatma Gandhi. So Mahatma Gandhi's communication was not a communication of a powerful authority or authoritarian or a language of Winston Churchill, right? So his language was subtle. And here is a catch in his communication that influenced and that made so many people stand behind him.
Right.
He spoke the language of public.
Language of the people, they say.
Yes. Don't speak in the language that you know. Speak in the language that they understand.
Absolutely.
That's what was secret of Mahatma Gandhi's influence.
But make sure you're concise. At times
Absolutely.
people overdo it. Oh
all
my
the
God,
time.
I gotta speak the language they understand. And they keep on speaking.
That also happens because they are not sure of their own words, which is why it's important your ability of not going passive most time, ability
Right.
to stay true to your words, ability to be really clear of your thoughts.
Right.
Everything begins with clarity. The clarity is the fundamental, fundamental of becoming good leader. That's what I
Right.
see.
But then I remember what you've just said. This reminds me of Winston Churchill. He rightly said that, your speech has to be like girl's skirt, long enough to cover the subject, short enough to create interest.
What do you expect from a man who would have whiskey before speaking in parliament?
But he has a message here that speaks succinctly.
Yeah, with a glass of whiskey in his hand.
With a glass of whiskey or with a glass of Bonvita or with a glass of water.
Yeah,
but
Nimbu
people,
pani.
Nimbu pani, yes.
Yours is Nimbu Pani? Yeah?
Yeah, mine.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not discuss.
Yeah.
But people here, they forget that speaking succinctly is also so powerful, People can listen to you. you at times, let's say you're a beginner. So even if you're anxious, don't bore them. So what people do that they're anxious, but they are still speaking, and that's mundane, that's monotonous. So it's very important to speak succinctly with a powerful voice,
Yeah, you just did it.
Yes.
So Napoleon Bonaparte said once, 10 people can make more noise by speaking than 1,000 people being silent.
Right. He who sleeps in noise awakens in silence.
So are we just competing with a dialogue?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a dialogue competition now.
Oh, I had no intention of being part of this competition.
Let's come back to the topic. So, is that it?
So there are thousands and thousands of hours that it may take to really bring
Accumulation of
influence.
different skills.
Yes. So what we can do right now is that we can sum it up, and if people need more help in actually getting to the nitty-gritties of authority and influence and how to
Right.
bring the great balance between these two, they can reach us, they can find us, then they know where we are, right?
So listen, take care of your appearance.
Be the last person to speak.
Speak succinctly.
Remember the words that makes you powerful.
Control body language.
Stillness speaks.
Powerful vocabulary.
Words which are not cliche.
Powerful voice.
Assertive communication has no substitute.
Accumulation of different skills.
Build credibility, build character.
That's enough.